Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you can see it and you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a watch that I simply adore. I wish Arnold Son made more variants of the CTB or Chronograph TrueBeat because it is simply enchanting, aesthetically, mechanically, and the sheer imagination that goes into this watch makes it a rare treat for anyone who has the privilege of owning or encountering the CTB. Launched in 2014, this watch represented a remarkably inventive take on the chronograph, whereby you have a sweep seconds chronograph seconds hand, and on the same center dial mount, you have a TrueBeat or deadbeat second for the civil time. The two of them coexisting in a rose gold 44mm case, and you can see on my 16cm circumference wrist, it's the shape of this case that makes it so wearable. Although it's a 44 round watch, lug to lug, it's only 48.7mm, and that 48.7 is dramatically curved to work with your wrist shape. So even if you have a small wrist of about 14cm circumference, I would say that's the lower limit for wearing this watch, and there's only a bare handful of 44mm watches that wear well on a 14cm circumference wrist. It's a thick watch. At 15mm thick, this one's not going to duck underneath any shirt cuffs, but it'll work just fine with a dress coat or a sport jacket. The timepiece has a broad spacing between the lugs, as it is a modern timepiece of 22mm, so that's the size of the strap you would secure if you wanted to accessorize. But the factory piece is lovely. First, it's drilled very close to the case. You can actually see that the pivot point of the strap is closer to the case than you might suspect. It's well inboard of the outer lug, so that this one can wear well and pull straight down around a small wrist. The strap is also substantial, with large rectangular scale alligator leather semi-gloss, unbolstered, folded edge, monotone stitch. There's calfskin on the underside, and you can see this is an Arnold Son factory strap with a handsome stylized and Arnold Son branded pin buckle. The case band is simple but strong. There's a horizontal that unites the two ends of the case, and you can see it's inwardly stepped from the mid case down to the case back, so it has a little bit of a tumble home that shrinks the watch as it's apparent on the wrist. You'll also appreciate the fact that the lugs are rather short cropped and tightly downturned, with a strong fluting down their flank to add a little bit of visual articulation. Now the case itself is handsome, but the dial, let's get close, give ourselves better focus and appreciate its details. The dial is even more nuanced, as there's a combination of blued hands and three different silver metallic finishes. One is in the chapter ring outboard, one is the granular base of the dial center, and then the additional finishes are evident on the sub-registers. You can see that the time of day sits at 12 o'clock, and then you have a handsome chronograph minutes display up to 60 down at 6 o'clock, which I happen to adore because I find a chronograph that measures between 0 and 60 minutes is generally more useful than one that measures up to 12 hours but only gives you a 30-minute chronograph register. Now what I've done is I've actually started the chronograph with the constant seconds hand directly opposed, so if I stop the chronograph, you can get a sense of what the TrueBeat or deadbeat second hand looks like. You'll also appreciate that there is a lot of depth to this dial. It slopes down from the metallic brushed Rayhaut, and then there's a little bit of a raised or relieved profile to the chapter rings for the registers. Old school, with a blasted center with a relieved and polished Arnold Son logo. Even the crown is thoughtfully designed and finished, with a vintage style pump pusher arrangement. Turn the watch over, get close to the movement, you can see that Arnold Son brings not just the watchmaking, but also the fine finish. So the engineering is here. This is the Arnold Son AS01A.C120A movement. Let me get the best of my lighting so you can appreciate it. 45-hour power reserve, automatic winding, ceramic rotor bearings. You can see when you pull the crown, this one features stop seconds and a chronometer grade balance. Also, it features 5-position adjustment like a chronometer. 31 jewel movement, all in-house. What sets this one apart is its combination of a vertical clutch, a column wheel, deadbeat seconds, and high horology finish. And you can see the column wheel present and correct on the flank of the case, but the finish is even thoughtful, as there's a unique Cotes de Geneve that radiates out from the center dial rather than running in linear or concentric circular fashion. You'll also appreciate that all of the screws as well as the column wheel are blued the old-fashioned way. oxidized in a kiln and heated, not dyed. And look at the anglage, it's massive. It's the true mirrored chamfer executed by hand, but you never see it this broad. This is fat anglage. This is like old school Roger Dubuis. You do not see this often. This is chamfering to a mirrored, optically smooth finish that is so big, broad, bold, and beautiful, you do not need a loupe to appreciate it. And then finally, you'll note outboard there is engine turning or perlage on the base plate, as well as linear graining across some of the levers of the mechanism. It is both a vertical clutch and a column wheel, so the engagement is crisp when you actuate it and smooth when you start it. A timepiece that combines 8 beats per second with 1, a singular aesthetic, and thanks to the rose gold case, this variant of the CTB looks like its own watch. It has more of its own identity. It's stronger aesthetically than the white metal variants, which look a bit like a steroidal Patek Philippe 5235. If you're looking for an oversized chronograph, stop right here. High horology and high style with imagination, perhaps the rarest commodity in the luxury watch industry. See it and make it yours on the Watchbox.